system that requires you to be perfect in order to function, it is not a system. The moment I stopped asking myself why I can't stick to this and started to ask myself, why is this designed to break? Everything shifted for me. What if the system is the problem? A system designed for a version of you who has 4 uninterrupted hours every morning, when the real you, the most energetic you, have 2 hours, will fail every single time. That's not a character flaw, that's a design flaw. This is episode 41, and this is the episode I wish existed before I wasted a year on the wrong design. I want to take you back about 2 to 3 years ago. I had what looked like the perfect setup, the Notion workspace, well organized, content calendar color coded, email automations running. And I also copied batch recording from other creators and their format and everything. On paper, I was winning, but every Sunday evening, I'd sit down to review my week, and I feel this low hum of dread. Like, I have to do this over and over and over for next coming weeks or so. And not because I hadn't done the work, I had done it, but because none of it felt like me anymore. Everything felt so systematic. I was literally putting myself into other people's workflows and other people's ideas of what an executable system actually was. I had built it from a course, a YouTube video, a Pinterest board, other creators, workflow packs, and it looked beautiful, yes, but it didn't breathe. There was no space when I'm able to just sit on a given day, not fit everything into a specific schedule, and I can just be and create when I'm most energetic. It always had to be in this predefined setting and calendar. There was no room for the season when my energy shifted, when batch day that used to energize me started draining me. But then for a minute, I thought it was me, and I always kept trying to fix myself. I'm trying to say, yes, I need to have more discipline and stick to the calendar and stick to the system. Yes, I'm waking up earlier. Mornings are my usual times. I needed to have stricter timers. I needed to have more accountability partners, until one day I asked a totally different question. What if the system is the problem? And I had to sit with that for a moment. And that thought came to me. I was like, what if the system was a problem? I've never considered that. Here's what I used to believe. A good system is a perfect system. If it's falling apart, you just need more discipline to follow it. And I think that has always been my mindset when it came to building systems and copying systems from other creators. But here's what I know to be true right now. A system that requires you to be perfect in order to function, it is not a system. It's all about performance. The moment I stopped asking myself why I can't stick to this and started to ask myself, why is this designed to break? Everything shifted for me. But here is the deeper truth. And a lot of times people think when you implement certain systems, it can be the simplest of things. You can put certain routines in a system and people will say, oh, the person who's using that system is lazy. They don't have ambition. They don't want to stick with it. But what I have realized is that they build systems designed for who they want it to be and not who they actually are. And when I got that revelation, I was like, I needed to create a system for me, a system designed for a version of you who has 4 uninterrupted hours every morning when the real you, the most energetic you, have 2 hours to spare will fail every single time. That's not a character flaw. That's not that you have a problem personally. That's a design flaw. And I had to come to that moment when I had to stop blaming myself and start auditing my design. I'm giving you permission today to stop blaming yourself, and I want you to audit what you already have. That's when flow will actually start. So let me give you what I call the system audit method. And I know over the past couple of weeks and months, I have been talking about auditing your systems on the back end, but I really want to focus in for this episode when it comes to my creators. It is just 3 simple steps I have been repeatedly doing every single month. I used to do it every quarter of last year when I stripped my entire system down and rebuilt it. I was reviewing it every quarter, but what I've realized in the past few months, I need to do this every single month because trends change, things change, and I'm noticing as I'm getting older and more responsibilities in life, I have to tweak my systems so it can work with me and not against me. And so this is not going to be a full rebuild. These are just 3 questions that will tell you exactly where your system is breaking and give you a clear path to actually fix it. Okay, the first thing is the energy audit. Does this system work with how I actually function? Not how you think you should function, not the ideal morning routine version of you, the actual you in this actual season. Listen, I had to sit with myself one day and I was like, why am I trying to create in the evening when I know I am not a night person? I just want to relax. I want you to ask yourself this. When does your energy peak? Where does the system require those peak energy? And is it realistic? For me, the system I had scheduled deep creative work was usually in the evenings. And if you know me and you know me well, I am not a night person. I cannot function after 12 p.m. And so I was literally setting myself up to fail every single week because I designed a system or I copied a system where it was tailored for night creating. And I'm not a night person. I want to enjoy my 8 hours of sleep. And so the other question you're going to consider, circle every task in your system that requires you and requires your best energy. Then look at what you've scheduled. And if there is a mismatch, that is your first design flaw. Okay, the second step is the friction map. This is where you're going to be asking yourself, where does it always break down? Every system has a weak link. I don't care if it was perfectly designed. This is why they're always testing, they're always tweaking, there's always updates to any system, whether it's software related, whether it's hardware, there's always some firmware, as our technical people like to say, firmware upgrades and all the things. Please know, every system has a weak link. When life gets to lifing, that is the first thing that is going to fall apart. Most of us know exactly what it is. We just haven't given ourselves permission to redesign it. Maybe it's the content planning step. Maybe it's the weekly review, or it can be the tools that you're supposed to update and use, but you never do. That friction point is actually data. I don't want you to see it as, it's a stumbling block, but use it as actual data. And basically, it's your system telling you that it needs a redesign in that specific area or spot. So the audit question I want you to ask yourself, where does your workflow consistently stall? Where do you pause? Where is that point where, yes, you're creating, but when it comes to a certain step or a few things that you need to get done, you don't follow through? What's that What's that step that you skip when you are busy? That step is either going to be simplified, it's going to be automated, or it is going to be completely removed. Now, the third step, and a lot of people, when they're building systems, and take this from me, who has built a lot of systems on the back end for entrepreneurs, they do not do a live fit test. When I was rebuilding my system, the question I asked myself was, does this system serve the life I actually have? A lot of us want systems for our content creation or even to run our business. And most time the systems that we build always works against us. So this is the one that gets me and gets most people every single time. We build systems for the life we're building towards, and we forget to update them when life is lifing and when things are shifting and seasons are shifting. When I got married, my systems were still solo creator systems. When my business grew, when my systems were still early stage systems, they completely crashed. I tried to squeeze into them instead of outfitting them to actually fit me. The system is supposed to serve the life, not the other way around. So here's what I want you to do. Look at your system and ask, who did I design this for? Is that still who I am right now? If not, what's the one adjustment that would actually make this fit into your everyday life? I want to sit here for a moment before we actually close off, because I think there's something deeper underneath all of this systems talk. When I was running the wrong system, the one that looked perfect but felt draining at the same time, I was trying to control the outcome of my calling. I thought if I just optimize hard enough, I could guarantee the results. If I just plan well enough, I could remove the uncertainty and even those times when I'm failing to meet deadlines. But here's what God kept showing me gently, patiently, in the moments when I was most frustrated with myself. He doesn't ask us to be perfectly efficient, He asks us to be faithfully available. A system designed from fear of falling behind, fear of wasting time, fear of not being enough will always feel like a cage you're boxing yourself in. But once you have a system designed from trust in your own everyday rhythm, trust in the season God has you in, trust in that peace that is purposeful, that system will feel like home, and you will find joy every day just showing up and doing your best work. I remember in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3, when it says to commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. Not perfect your plans, not control your plans, establish them. When you audit your systems with honesty, when you stop performing productivity and start designing for your real life, that's an act of stewardship of your time, your energy, as well as your calling. So I want you to sit for a few moments this week, and as you kickstart quarter 2 of the year, and ask yourself, where in your creative life are you trying to be perfect when what God is actually asking for is your presence? I want you to sit with that. Just sit with it. Ask yourself that deeper question. If you need to write out what you're feeling in that moment, get your pen or paper, get your journaling tool, and just sit with it. Your system should serve your life. And if it doesn't, that's not really a discipline problem. That's a design problem. And design can always be changed. Please know this. If this episode resonated with you, if you recognize yourself somewhere in that audit, I want to make your next step very, very simple. The Creator Productivity Cheat Sheet has the System Audit template built right into it. It's the exact tools I use to run myself through these 3 questions sessions every single month. And listen, it is totally free and it's linked in the show notes. You can start using it today. Next week, we are going to go a little deeper into systems, and we are going to identify one system every creative business needs, not 10, not a whole full stack, and understanding that sometimes the simplest systems can actually work for you and it is going to surprise you. I am Alicia, and this is how we create a flow.